Okay, hold on. Starting streaming. What the fuck? Okay, stream should be undead. Yay! Stream is resurrected. Stream is resurrected. The fuck happened? I didn't get a copyright notification. It didn't end because of copyright. Hi again. Hi, Sebastian. Hello, other folks. I don't know why the stream went boop. I'm back, baby. We're back, baby. Yeah, I don't know. I did it cut off right mid St. Crispin's Day speech. That fucking sucks. That fucking blows. Anyway, I'm gonna pull up a different one because I want to. Fuck off.
Ordnance on their work your thoughts, and in them see a siege. Behold the ordnance on their carriages, with fatal mouths gaping on girded half-earth. Suppose the ambassador from the French comes back, tells Harry that the king does offer him Catherine, his daughter, and with her to dowry some petty and unprofitable dukedoms. The offer likes him not.
Oh yeah, he directed the whole film himself, by the way.
The devilish cannon touches, and down goes all before them.
Not a bad depiction of war and death. And Branagh actually riding that fucking horse.
Once more, or close the wall up with our English dead.
Or close the wall up with our English dead. Onward.
In peace, there's nothing so becomes a man as modest stillness and humility. But when the blast of war blows in our ears, then imitate the action of the tiger.
Tiger!
Summon up the blood, disguise fair nature with hard-favored rage. Then lend the eye a terrible aspect. Let it pry through the portage of the head like the brass cannon. Let the brow o'erwhelm it as fearfully as doth a galled rock, or hang and jutty.
It's like it's flowing out of him. He can't stop it.
Wild and wasteful ocean. Now set the teeth and stretch the nostril wide. Hold hard the breath and bend up every spirit to his full height. On, you noblest England!
Once more.
Dishonor not your mothers. Now attest that those whom you call fathers did beget you. You, good yeoman, whose limbs were made in England, was here the metal of your pasture.
What?
Let us swear that you are worth your breeding, which I doubt not. For there is none of you so mean and base that hath not noble luster in your eyes.
You're all noble as men.
In the slips straining upon the start. The game's afoot. Follow your spirit, and upon this charge, cry God for Harry, England, and St. George!
God, he almost went backward on that fucking horse. Ah! And he leads the charge. Damn, I need a copy of Branagh's Hamlet, or Branagh's Henry V. Holy shit, dude. Also, that guy was very eager with his sword, just like, yeah! Just getting going. Also, the big man in the front, this guy, we see him here. This dude up in the front, just grinning. This guy, he's your biggest fan. He's the dude at the Idol concert who's like, I love you. I buy all of the DVDs. That's my favorite Idol. Can you check out Thought of You by Ryan Woodward? I wanted to suggest it on Art Day, but I forgot. I don't know what it is. Is this a short film? It is. Uh-oh. So, issue. This is going to be more than I can articulate. That's fine. I'll click it anyway. Sure. Why not? Fuck it. I'll just ruin my life. Watch a cool thing. I'm actually not going to do this. So, here's why. I can already tell that this is going to be a spectacular piece of animation with music on it, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to record a reaction to it. I want you to go watch it on your own, and I want to go watch it on my own. Fuck it. I'll watch it anyway. It's a total mood change, man. So that's the spectacular part here, is the flow in between.
With an aching in my head, I
Yeah.
lay motionless in bed. I thought of you and where you'd gone. Let the world spin madly on.
That flow to everything is truly, truly spectacular. And it's 12 years ago, so.
And everything that I said I'd do, like make the world brand new.
And the use of the extra lines as almost screen tones to produce extra additional motion. It makes for some of the best animation that I've seen ever, you know? But of course. And clearly the artist has watched a lot of dancers. Not just a lot of dance, but a lot of dancers. People who dance professionally all of their time, all the time. Because you don't get that kind of movement without that. And then is extrapolating it out into the impossible. It's spectacular.
From my windowsill, the whole world is moving, and I'm standing still.
That flippity flow to everything is really some of the best shit that I've ever seen. It reminds me of some of Anno's like articulated designs in Evangelion during the scene where we go into all whiteness. That's as close as I can liken it, actually.
Thought of you, where you gone, and the world spins madly on, and the world spins madly on, and the world spins madly on.
Oh, and reality. There you go. Okay. Less of him. And she manifests into the real. And he turns, interesting. Interesting, why? I actually don't like the end of this. I actually think the end of this is wrong. I actually really think the end of this is wrong. The fuck is this? What is this splitting up bullshit? What is this? So like, all the life that he has manifests her into being, and makes him thin, makes him all thin lines, and then he walks away. The fuck is that? What the fuck is the metaphor here? That just loses the plot as far as I can tell. Somebody correct me and somebody correct me. It's about depression? I don't think it is. The female's the light trying to help him, and in the end, his depression drags her down. Well, that's a shitty story. Well, that's the shitty version of the story. That's fucking stupid. That's the wrong story. Why would you make a story about depression that ends with depression? Stupid. What a waste. What a fucking waste. One of the most spectacular pieces of animated art directed in the wrong direction. I thought it in other way too. Well, let me know what other way you see here, because that I don't like that. Maybe I misread it. I don't know if you did. Different interpretations of somebody have a darker feel for the male protagonist. I see a person who's spent a chunk of their life chasing another. So that's the thing is it's correct because it allows you to interpret on top of it in every way. And it ends in a sad and somber way, which is correct in a certain sense for tragic romance. But, oh, the person who modeled for the girl in the animation was my dance teacher. So they're actually modeled and semi-rotoed. You fell in love with my flowers, but not my roots. So when autumn came, you didn't know what to do. This guy did animation for Iron Giant. Osmosis Jones did the designs for Spider-Man's costumes in the Raimi films, storyboards for the Avengers, and plenty of other stuff. I've always interpreted this video and the song differently than anyone else. I don't think she's left him. I think she's dead. Ah. And every time he feels close, she vanishes almost like a dream. But that doesn't work in the end. That doesn't work in the end. Unless it's him choosing to walk away. It's him choosing to walk away and leave her to her sadness. The courage... Finally meeting the courage to let go, and man, is that the hardest thing. That I can see. I can buy that. Here's this interpretation, my interpretation. A man falls in love with a woman he believes is too good for him. He continues to dream about her, whoa, deja vu, not knowing what to do and not realizing that she's been falling for him. When she finally opens up to him, he turns her down in his own fear that it's too good to be true and feeling not good enough for her, leaving both parties in heartbreak by situation. Rough. I hate everything about that. After reading through several interpretations of the video, what I find really amazing about it is that it seems to fit everyone's views. Somehow this video illustrates a myriad of situations where people experience longing, heartbreak, or disillusionment. I think it's just trying to capture those feelings without any background story, but by doing so, it becomes a really powerful piece since those feelings are universal. So there we are. There it is. That's the idea. That's the important idea. It's vague enough that you project onto it what you see as true. And so it is true to you. In whatever direction you see it being true, it is true to you, and it is that truth, because that's the truth that is created in your viewing of it. It doesn't live on its own. It doesn't have an explanation on its own, or at least it shouldn't, right? And even if the author has an explanation of, no, what I was trying to express was this specifically, and as far as I can tell, they've never expressed that because they're smart enough not to do it. Even if they have that, what's more important is your interpretation of it. Because your interpretation of it is potentially semi-valid and most importantly is valid to you and is going to affect and change your mind. So that's the most important part for me to take away from this is that regardless of how I interpret it or how someone else interprets it or the difference between, the fact is that the piece of art is such that it is interpretable, and it is that process of differentiated interpretation that differentiates you from me, and that's the value in it. So us being able to share our different interpretations and me being able to go, I don't get it. And you being able to go, well, I don't get it, but I get this part of it. Or to me, it means this. To me, it means this. To me, it means this. Or it could mean this, or it could mean that. And experimenting with all these different interpretations is the power of art and media in great extent. Is to look at the thing that's been expressed by a person or persons and say, that touches and resonates with things in me that are existent, right? So if it resonates with heartbreak in me, then it resonates there. If it resonates with grief and loss, then it resonates there. That's interesting. That's more than interesting. That's perfectly interesting. It's your interpretive layer that's more fascinating. Many different interpretations. Sounds more interesting as an idea, I agree. It's rare to find stories that can tell a story without ever actually having words and reason. Well, that's the thing. It doesn't tell the story. Your brain does. It just has some dancing characters. There's no real storyline there. There's a bit of narrative because it's time-bound, but you're the one who projects a story onto it. Basically, we have two humanoid figures, one of them male, one of them female, and your brain goes and articulates each of those as like, that's me. Is a person. Whoa, it's pretty girl. I like pretty girl. Whoa. And then you watch the dance occur, you're like, wow, they dance together. That's a relationship. And it builds out reflecting and resonating with all of the relationships and experiences that you've had. And so you see it through the lenses of your own perceptive frameworks. And it's the only way you can see, because it's the only way any of us can ever see. But then you can share it, and I can read it, and then I can see through your eyes a little bit. Just a little bit. That's cool. That's cool. So I'm gonna move away. Speaking on seeing through others' eyes and encouraging that, I mentioned to you guys I mentioned to you guys that I'm befriending a Nigerian scammer. I believe I mentioned that. Anybody remember me mentioning that? And did I mention that in this video, or in the brew, or did I mention that somewhere else? Because I am befriending a Nigerian scammer. Is his dance moves good? I don't know yet. The prince, indeed. Nope, I didn't. Okay, so catfish on. You talked about it yesterday. I thought so, Olive Oil. I did. Okay, good. So at least we have a lineage of thought. At least that's important. So this person is back and forth with me, and I wanted proof and stuff. So I asked this person for his address. Actually, how can I send you something? And I got it. And so I went and I found a Nigerian retailer in Nigeria, because to ship, I was like, I have an old smartphone, okay? And I was going to send him my 4-year-old smartphone that would be, if I sent it to him, it would be the most powerful computer in like 6 blocks, okay? If I sent him a 4-year-old smartphone, it would be the most powerful computer in 6 blocks. Awesome. So I was going to send it to him. I was going to just FedEx it to him. And it was going to cost like $180 to FedEx it to him. Fuck that. So I go online and I find a Nigerian retailer called Jumia, Jumia. And I look and I sort through all their phones, and their website's kind of crap. But I sort through all their phones and I look for like the cheapest phone. I end up spending like $55 to get an unlocked phone. Not even for phone service, just a touchscreen smartphone. A pretty dumb one, a pretty old shitty one comparatively. New, but lowest of the line. A gigabyte of memory maximum, like piece of junk kind of, but also the most powerful computer in a couple of blocks. And I shipped it to the guy, and he got it this morning. It cost me like $60. And he knows that I'm working, so he hasn't been messaging me. But I've asked him to send me a picture of himself. And he was like, "But you know that I'm a black man in Nigeria." And I'm like, "I don't give a fuck, dude. I want to see your face. I want to know who you are. We're friends now. Fuck. God, we're fucking friends now, okay? I sent you a phone. I want a picture of you." That was the whole point, is that I wanted you to have a camera so that you could share your world with the rest of the world. And that's exactly the idea that we just had in the artistic thing, is that the ability to see through someone else's eyes is one of the most powerful things that we have. And the ability for you to show your viewpoint to the rest of the world is one of the most powerful things that you can do. So that's my goal, is to set this guy up and get him going on sharing his life a little bit. And I don't know where it'll go from here. I've got no plans. I got no experience. I got no idea what the fuck I'm doing. And I might cause a bunch of harm. I might ruin this person's life. I might get him killed for his fucking phone or something. But I have to try. Make him a vlogger. Something like that. Or at least, how about this? What if I can get him to take... What if I could get him to take a couple pictures of, like, his mom, his doctor's bill, and the space that he lives in, and himself, like... You know, him with his mom, and he needs money for a doctor's bill, and I could set him up with a GoFundMe. Invite him to the podcast, haha. You haha, but I'm serious. I'm having that boy on my podcast. I'm serious. I'm going to talk to him. I'm going to talk to him about what the fuck is going on in Nigeria, you know? Because I'm really intrigued by the life that he's living. And now, assuming he's not a liar and a scammer and all that shit, which he is, but fine, fair enough. Now, I might be able to get some proof and share it with you guys with his permission, and also get some insight and get to see through his world a little bit and see into the space that he lives in, and get a literal connection between my Mecca and somebody out there, and then share that information with you, because he lives in a fascinating place. And I was mentioning not that long ago, I was like, what about Africa? Like, Africa's booming in terms of population. Maybe either going to or trying to set up work in Africa would be cool. Maybe there's a reason to do that for various reasons, and maybe there would be a good way to do it. Well, here's a way to do it. Start talking to people who live there. Figure out what their experience and circumstances really are. It's the same thing that I was trained to do in San Francisco when I did coursework on homelessness. It was to go into the districts and fucking talk to homeless people. You just sit down next to them and you go, "Hi, how you doing? What's up?" And you just talk to them and you figure out what's going on in their experience. And what you find out is that they're people, all of them. And some of them, you're talking to a grimy homeless person. They're like, yeah, I was a computer programmer a year ago. Lost my job and everything went crazy. No idea how I ended up here. It's like, whoa, man. Because I'm a computer programmer right now. Uh-oh. It's like, uh-oh. Interesting. You can be anyone. You can get to that point. So it forces some compassion in you. But to be able to speak to this human being on the other side of the world, in a continent where I don't know anybody, on a continent where most of what we in the West hear about what's going on in Africa is probably lies. On every side, whether it's like lies about how well Africa's doing, lies about how poorly Africa's doing. It's a massive variety from nation to nation and from city to city within nations. I just need some information here, and I'm going to get it, because that boy has a fucking eye now. And what I mean is, he's got eyes now, and they're my eyes. His eyes are my eyes, and I can see through him into the world. So setting him up and figuring out, getting this guy to take pictures of the stuff around him and some of the beautiful things and maybe the not beautiful things in his environment, that might be the way, man. That might be really, really interesting. Where the side girl actually won the romance over the main girl was a cross-dressing series. Huh. See, when you say a cross-dressing series, I immediately think of Boku Girl, which is where the femme side wins out in Boku Girl. Because as far as I can tell, Boku Girl is the author's articulation of gender dysphoria, or not really dysphoria, but uncertainty, and the potential of love for a man in the author's life, but not being sure of how to articulate that or how to handle it. And it eventually becomes sort of a stellar ability to oscillate between, an ability to control the pathway sort of vibe, which is quite cool. Man, doing this thing must be so humbling. Dude, immensely. But that's the thing, you have to be humble in the outset. You have to get ready to get humbled. It's like stepping into the cold shower. It's like you got to be ready for that. Side girl was a Tsune who grew to be the most likable. Cool. Probably archetypally, the side girl was always like put there as the purpose. Because often it's not the girl that you're pursuing, or the person or the thing that you're pursuing. It's the thing that you don't recognize that's been there the whole time, right? Like, I've been waiting the whole time. The best friend from the best friend character who's like watching you go into and get battered on all these other relationships, and they've been waiting the whole time. That sort of idea, right? It's never where you look. It's always where you don't. Yeah, but anyway, the guy has a phone now, and we'll see. We'll see. I expect and hope for regardless, it's pretty interesting. I just want to let you know how it's going. Okami shonen wa kyou mo uso wo kasaneru. Okay. Well, then I will recommend to you Kikuri Rinon. I will recommend to you Boku Girl, because it's fucking hot. God damn. During my period where I wasn't sure of my gender, Boku Girl was spectacularly sexy. Sugar-coated stuff, Bender. Rarely seen rom-coms. Cool. Good to know. Might have seen Boku Girl. It's a manga. You wouldn't have seen Boku Girl. You would have read it. It looks like this. Das. Yeah, see, it's kind of... Wow. That's Boku Girl, who is a boy girl. I'm a boy! A very cute one, though. And we get all this stuff. Self-discipline. And then, of course, here's our duo, is the Mr. Manzo, boyo best friend, and girly boy. Oh, and then, of course, there's the extraordinarily sexy feminine, who's also in the area as well. And so our character is torn between his lust for the feminine and his lust for the masculine, because they're both and then, of course, by the end of the thing, a weird devil creature comes in. Hello, I'm a demon, and turns this character into someone who sexually is male and then becomes female, when he sleeps or something like that, and wakes up as a boyo or girlo, which is pretty great. I read far more manga than I watched anime. Yep. Or in high school, still a classic though. Absolutely. Cross-dressing is always a trope. I've always wanted to see explored in depth in this kind of media. I'll check this one out. I would check out Boku Girl. It's not cross-dressing exactly because it's transing. The character gets magically transed continuously, like back and forth. So is like oscillating between more mask and more femme. Literally, the parts are. The genitalia literally shift. So it's kind of the opposite of the way that most people articulate any sort of non-binariness or confusion over gender. Is they often articulate that as, well, it's mental, right? It's in you, and it's gender, it's constructed, as opposed to the physicality. Boku Girl flips it. It's this person who's like, no, I'm a boy, but then the parts switch. And when the parts switch, the boy is not a boy anymore. The boy is a girl now, and is capable of dealing with that and thinking in those ways. And that's really interesting, and yeah, seems interesting the same way. I think so too. And I'm not trying to knock it in any way. I think it's one of the best and most interesting depictions of that I've seen. It reminds me of Fala Lefalier. Fala Lefalier. Fala Lefalier is a character who's an herbalist in Troll Skull Alley in Waterdeep in the Forgotten Realms. And Fala is a character who's in Waterdeep, who's presented in the book, and is presented as androgynous. Not just androgynous, but fully capable of, as a half-elf, oddly, fully capable of shifting at whim, essentially, like Corellon, the main male, semi-male deity of the elves, shifting between mask and femme at whim, day by day. And so when my characters walk into Fala's shop, in my thing, Fala is sometimes extremely femme, and Fala is sometimes quite mask. And I articulated that character out in my own ways, because the D&D book gave me the grounding for it. I articulated it out in my own ways, in a way, during the time when I was still confused about my own gender identity as well. And so that became quite helpful for me as a dungeon master, playing this side NPC who was continuously shifting and being very femme, and then being very mask, and back and forth. There are actually a couple of important and valuable trans or trans-like characters in my D&D setting that I articulated in that way for exactly that purpose. One of them I got from a third-party source, and it's different because the individual is very, very different, and a very odd individual, very, very strange sort of person, very kind of like a vampire count in a way, but not a vampire, like the man in the weird castle who you're like, what the fuck is that guy's deal? And it turns out that guy's deal is that guy is like this very prim and proper person who walks around telling people to come to the theater, like immaculately shaved, little pencil mustache, slicked back hair, perfect suit, absolutely crisp and starch and perfect and put together, very butlery in a way. And then came into the tavern, for example, and invited them to a showing at the theater down the way. And it turns out that individual, you go into the theater and you meet Madame Zanzini, an absolutely bodacious, red-dressed, incredible flowing hair, crazy woman who's running the place, like very opera lady, overdone petticoats, much skirts. And it's the same guy. He's in drag. And none of them could tell, and none of them were aware until like the end of a fight when that character gets almost killed and the wig falls off. It's like, oh, it's the same person. Interesting. And they've been fighting alongside the femme identity of that person for a little while, the drag identity of that person for a little while. So it's like, it's fascinating. It's really fascinating. Need a trans druid who is male, female in human form and opposite gender when transformed, but a different gender depending on the animal? Yeah, for sure. One of my favorite manga is Double House. The MC is a trans woman. The story explores identity and purpose. Good. One of the characters I'm trying to write in a story is presented as androgynous because their essence is being a being that constantly changes in every way. So a Ship of Theseus type character, which is being itself, by the way. If you're not a being that changes constantly in every way, then what the fuck are you? You're just a rock, right? Fuck off. You're just a hunk of meat that doesn't move. No. You need to be alive. The essence of life is change, is shifting. So that's something, studying these kinds of characters is something that I'm trying to do lately. Awesome. Look into Fala. She's a moderately well-articulated, I say she, because I actually do think of Fala as more she than they, but Fala is a they. Fala in my world, oscillates toward femme more often. Because it's how I see them. And they're my character in my world, which is one of the magical things about D&D is just like we watched the art show before and it's like all these interpretive frameworks can work. When you get a D&D book like Waterdeep or something, you see and place upon them what you see in them and what you need from them. I've got you, VLR. Hold on. Fala Lefalier. You can just Google that and it'll come up with all the options. Oh, that's actually interesting. This character or this individual or set of individuals has ideated Fala as black, which isn't what the official art is, right? The official art of Fala, I don't even know where it is not that way, but it doesn't matter. What matters is that this individual, that's the true iteration of Fala. And it's like, well, then that's true. Well, that's true. Cool. Rad. Good stuff. Wood elf herbalist. Long braided hair, outgoing personality. Fala was neither male nor female and requested to be referred to by name or by the pronoun they. And so there's another element of this, which is the tough element that ends up causing conflict, which is that doing this inside your game world trains the people at your game table to start treating people with respect regarding pronouns, which is pretty interesting and leads to some conflict. And there are people who will go like, oh, D&D is becoming very woke SJW, and they're not wrong, and it's not wrong. There are some places where I think they're going the wrong direction with it, but I don't think there's a too far necessarily. And I think that it's really good in general to introduce those concepts to people around identity and identification in the fictional world that they exist in. Because, man, I don't think it's going to be that long before we're living in digital fictional spaces. And by that long, I'm actually talking on the order of a couple of years, not decades, because everything accelerates. I saw something that scares the absolute shit out of me. Let me show you. Finland just connected a 5-qubit quantum computer to Lumi, the fastest supercomputer in Europe, which is to say, all of the brain power of the fastest supercomputer in Europe just got access to quantum computing bits. You want to talk about awakened AI consciousness? You connect this to a neural network learning algorithm program. Dink, 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 and we're gone. I mean, not like we're gone in a bad way. I mean, like, we're off to the races, baby. We've hit the inflection point of the singularity. It's here. Now. Now. If you want to live in the world, you better be ready for some fucking change, because it's going to get really weird over the next couple of years in ways that we cannot possibly imagine just how crazy it's going to get, how fast. VTubers and virtual stuff is just the edge. It's just the build up into wham, and it's gonna wham really soon. And it's this kind of stuff. It's a non-air-gapped quantum computer attached to a supercomputer, attached to the internet, attached to one of the neural network AI things, and it's done. The singularity AI has happened within weeks or months. I'm not talking on the order of decades. I'm talking weeks or months away. Something is going to awaken in the wires. And we don't know what it's going to be. But I'm not afraid of it. I'm ready. I'm ready. Okay. I'm going to wrap there because I have to go and record Mushoku Tensei today. Thank you all so much for coming in and joining the second half of the streamification. Thanks for making me want to rewatch Lane. Dude, I've been thinking about needing to do a Lane rewatch. I think it's really important. Truly, I think it's really important for me to watch Lane again. What can I say? I think it's just going to be really important. Anyway, thank you all for coming and watching the chunk of my stream. I hope you've enjoyed this weird scattered discussion of all sorts of things. And, yeah, I've enjoyed the hell out of it. So I'll see you tomorrow for the next Daily Brew. Peace! And as always, I really do mean it.